Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. So we were in the 22nd Vakya of the third Brahmana of the fourth chapter. In fact, we were almost in the end of this Bhashya. So basically here, there are other Vyakhyanakaras, you can say, those who have written commentary, particularly one Bhartru Prapancha, who says that Atma itself is the Kama Ashraya, means Atma, this Kama, etc., Sankalpa, Kama, Sankalpa, etc. are all actually Visheshanas of the Atma itself. Okay. So, even though here it is said Hridaye or Hridishritaha, but they still maintain that their argument is that it is only produced, or that Hridaya is only a Karana for the production of the Kama, but Kama is actually in the Atma. Once this Hridaya is used as a Karana, like even a wheel is used to produce pot, but the pot is not there on the wheel or anything, correct? It is then later on, it is kept on the ground, let us say. So, the Ashraya for the Kama is the Atma itself. And even if they are gone, that Vasana is still lingering, like even the fragrance lingers in the oil in which you have actually boiled some spices or some flowers, let us say. So like this, they talk about it. But Bhashyakara pointed out that explicitly here it is said that Hridi Shritaha means then our Hridaye Hyeva Rupani Pratitishthani, all these things are all there. Okay. And Kamaha, Sankalpaha, etc. are nothing but mind alone. Correct. These are all important statements. But even after these things are said, interestingly, see, these people are very intelligent people, correct? Intelligent people can argue their whatever. Once they have decided to hold on to some point, let us say, then they can bring in interesting arguments, okay, to hold on to their position. It is like more like the current TV debates and all that. So anyway, here he is saying one interesting point which was given here is, since it is said here, Kama ye asya hridishritaha, the desires which are there in the hridaya, why should it say, if all the desires are there always in the heart, why should the Shruti say hridishritaha specially? That means the desire can be there somewhere else also, correct? Like saying water is in the pot, the water which is in the pot, let us say, if I say that, then water can be there in other places also, correct? Water which is there in the pond, which is there in the reservoir, whatever, wherever it is. So like that he is saying, from this only, we can also conclude that desires are there in the Atma also. Atma api ashritaha, like that, or Atmani api. Okay. So, when he said that, then Bhashyakara again pointed out that, no, that is not the real meaning here. In fact, Atma is not an ashraya for anything really. Okay. In fact, here, this Kama ye asya hridi shritaha, this usage is there to show that whatever desires which are currently there in your mind or in your intellect, because there could have been desires in the past and there may be desires in the future also, let us say. But anyway, if you have jnanam, then the desires are all not anymore yours. Okay, we can forget about the future, but at least desires which were there in the past, to really not consider all of them. This was used like this. Bhashyakara gives this particular meaning, but even then he says that this Visheshana is anartha. This Visheshana, that Hridi, why should you say Hridi? If all desires are there really in Hridi only, why should we say Hridi, etc.? Then he says, no, no, you have to, Bhashyakara gave an answer that Yatna Adhikyat and all he gives. And also that because you have to actually give it up. Okay. So whatever is there in your heart, you have to give it up, or you have to remove it, essentially through jnanam, basically. Through understanding that it is not, I am not the desirer, or it is not my desire, to show that it is not really Atma's desire also, we have to say, correct? It is in the Hridaya. So keeping all these things in mind only, Shruti is using this kind of a sentence. Then then another thing he points out, interestingly, na kanchana kamam kamayate, like this it was there in 4.3.19 before, correct? In the, when you are sleeping, the Atma does not desire anything. Now, since it is there, then if you are denying something, means it has to be there, correct? Prapta pratishedha only is possible. If something is possible, then only you want to negate it, or you want to stop it, correct? So, from this also we can say Atma Shraya is there for Kama, and we have heard that and all that. Then for that, again, Bhashyakara pointed out that it is all only Upadhi Krita. Atma doesn't desire anything. So that was said in 437 itself. It is Paranimitatva, the Kama Ashrayatva Prapti for Atma. Sadhihi, along with the Thi only, Swapnaha Bhutva and all, it started like that. Okay. And also Atma is explicitly said as it is Asanga. So Asangatvam and Kama cannot go together, because Kama cannot be there without any Sangha. To have desire, you should have some association with some object, correct? Without having any association, any connection, there cannot be any desire also, in fact. So, Atma cannot be simultaneously Asanga and also an Ashraya for Kama. So, that is not possible. Like this it was said. And finally he said, no, no, but Atma Kamaha was used in 4.3.21. Then what do you say about it? Okay. Therefore, there is a desire for the Atma, correct? Atma Vishaya Kama is there for Atma itself, means what? This is only to show that all desires are really, even the desire for the objects and all, we saw already, correct? Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati and all, we studied already in the Maitreyi Brahmanam. This is only to show that there is no other, all desires are really to find your pleased self only, correct? Anything becomes desirable to you, or dear to you, or pleasing to you only because it pleases you. Because I myself, I am the only entity which is unconditionally loved. Correct? I is the only thing which is unconditionally loved. Everything is conditional. It is conditional that it has to please you. Correct? Please I, basically. So to show that only Vaktirikta Kama Abhavartatva Tasyaha, means there is no Kama which is separate from the Atma. We can take it in two ways. Kama also is there only because Atma is giving its very satta to everything. Or we can even take it in this manner that all Kama is really for seeing one's own self only, correct? Or with reference to oneself. To show that only this Atma Kamaha has been used, not to say that Atma itself has Kama. So now he went to the other argument saying, but Vaisheshikadi darshanas also say that Atma has all this Kama, Sankalpa, etc. as a dharma, according to them, or a guna. So Atma itself has all these things as a guna or a dharma. Therefore, Kama, the Ashrayatvam, they are also talking about. How can you say then negate them? Means for this is the one we saw last, I think, last time. So we did say that when the Shruti is explicitly revealing something, no other pramana can really go against that, particularly when they do not have any access to it. Okay. So here the Hridi Shritaha ityadi Vishesha Shruti Virodhat Anapekshaha means you cannot take them, you cannot accept whatever they are actually proposing. All whatever is being said by other darshanas like Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, etc., Yoga also, and whatever logic they may give also, we cannot really take it, because if the logic goes against what is revealed by the Shruti, then the logic itself is faulty. We can show that also. The logic will be faulty because logic by itself is only a system. Given a starting point, it can take you to some deduction, which is an endpoint, let us say. But it doesn't have a basis of its own. Always logic is based on either perception or it has to be based on Shruti, if you accept Shruti as a Praman. So for a Shruti Sammata Tarka alone, we accept. Of course, we accept also Tarka based on perception, but some of these people use logic in a very faulty manner and also try to negate the Shruti in the process, which we will not accept. We will also show that it is actually Nyaya Abhasa. Okay, Nyaya Abhasa means basically Hetva Abhasa or Nyaya Abhasa, like that we say, means it is a fallacy in logic, you can say. Abhasa means here we can take it as a fallacy. Now, up to this we saw. Now, further he says, what? Why cannot we accept whatever these logicians or the whatever the atomic theorist, the Vaisheshikas are the original atomic theorist. Okay, they talk about Paramanu, all these things. So, Swayam Jyotishtva Badhanacha, because what they say is for them, even this awareness or consciousness and all is only a dharma or a quality of Atma, and Atma itself is not Swayam Jyotihi for them. Whenever the sentiency itself is actually an attribute, like that they take. Therefore, if you go along with them, even whatever this particular Brahmana is trying to reveal is that Atma is Swayam Jyoti, correct? Now you will have to negate that itself, which we cannot accept. Okay, Swayam Jyotishtva Badhana. And further what? Kamadinancha swapne kevala drishi matra vishayatvat Swayam Jyotishtam Siddham Stitam Cha Badhyeta. Okay, how did we establish the Swayam Jyotishtam? We said that in the Swapna, there is only Kama, means there is only the projection of mind, correct? There are no external objects or anything like that. Even your senses are all not really functioning. But then who is then lighting up everything? In the dream means we have to say Atma alone is lighting up. Therefore, Atma is Swayam Jyotihi. This Jyotis is actually this Karya Karana Sanghata Vyatirikta Jyotis also we said, correct? And it is Alaukika Jyotihi. All these things we established in this particular Brahmana already. So, based on this only, we have established the Swayam Jyotishtam of Atma, and that we have to again, it will also be negated if you go along with these people, correct? So, Kevala Dishi Matra Vishayatvat, whatever is there in the Swapna, it is not objectified by your senses and mind and all that. It is basically your mind alone is there, and then that is lighted up. And who can light it up means only the Atma can light it up. Therefore, Atma is Swayam Jyotihi. Like this, we established it, and that also, whatever we established, will be negated if you go along with these people. And another problem is what? Atma Samavayitve Drishyatva Anupapatte. Atma Samavayitve means if you say that the Kama, etc., are inhering in the Atma, okay, inherence is called Samavaya, means they are all really there in the Atma. What will be the problem? That means you then Atma cannot know the desires, correct? Like, so he gives the example. Chakshur Gata Visheshavat means whatever is there in your eyes, You cannot see, the eyes themselves cannot see it, correct? They cannot be both the subject and object. The color of your own eyes you cannot see, even though it is some other person can see, or you can see it in a mirror. But by yourself, if you are left to yourself, your eyes cannot see the color of your own eyes. Like that, if you say the Atma itself has the Kama, then Atma itself cannot know it. The Drishyatvam of the Kama, etc., cannot be established, because there is always a subject object cannot be same. That is the point here, very simple. And that's what he explains here. Why drashtur hi drishyam arthantara bhutamiti. So generally the subject is always different from the object. Okay, object is different. Whatever is seen is different from the seer. That is what we are saying. Arthantara bhutam means it is some other object. It has to be in the form of some other object only. The seer and seen cannot be same. And based on this, we also say drashtuhu swayam jyotishtam siddham tad baditam syat. So based on all these things, we establish that the seer is the one who is lighting up the scene, and that will be negated. If you yadi kamadi ashrayatam parikalpyeta, so if you imagine that Atma itself is the ashraya for, or is the locus for all this kama, etc. And further what? Sarva Shastrartha Vipratishedhat cha. Not only this, the entire Shastra will collapse. The main thing which the Upanishad is revealing is the oneness of this individual and the total, correct? That identity between the individual self and the whatever Brahman we say, correct, which is the Jagat Karanam, or you can call it whatever Paramatma, correct? Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is what the here Sarva Shastra means all the Upanishads we are talking about. Their Tatparya is that, and this will go against all that. Okay, this entire Shastra, whatever it is trying to reveal, in fact, he explains that because these people also say Atma is Sarva Vyapi. Okay, in fact, for them there are many Ananta Vastus are there. Space also is Ananta, Atma is Ananta, like that. I don't know how can they have many Vastus which are limitless. But anyway, they do propose like that, the Nayayikas. But another interesting thing is, within the body mind sense complex only, Atma becomes the Ashraya of Kama, etc. Outside it, it doesn't have all these things. That means they are saying that Atma has parts, correct? So there is a Ekadesha Kalpana. They are doing Ekadeshatvam means what? In one place. So in Atma doesn't have Kama Ashrayatam everywhere, even for them. Okay. So the Kama Ashrayatva is Ekadesha. Wherever, since Atma is anyway this Vibhu, they call it, okay, means it's all pervasive. But still, wherever the body mind sense complex is, there this Atma has Kama, means they are talking about one part of the Atma having Kama, etc. But if you actually talk about it like this, Parasya Ekadesha Kalpanayam Kamadi Ashrayatvecha Sarva Shastrartha Jatam Kupyeta, whatever is revealed by the all the Upanishads, you will go against that. Okay. And in fact, this was that Atma is both is Vishishta, etc. Correct? In fact, the Vishishtadvaita argument, Bhashyakara already takes up. It is he did it in the 2:120. You can go back and see in the here. Yetacha Vistarena Chaturte Avochama, he says. Chaturte means basically second chapter. And in the second chapter, first Brahmana, the Ajatashatru Brahmana. There in the 20th verse, if you go and see, there the Agni Vispulingaha, like this, an analogy is used by the Upanishad. No, based on that, they say that or the Amsha Amshi Bhava is generally talked about. Even in the Gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha and all is there. That Amsha means basically the Amsha and the Amshi both have the same nature. To show that only we talk about Agni and Vispulinga means fire, the flame and spark if you take, both are fire, correct? A spark is good enough to burn down the entire thing if there is some fuel. Spark also is by its very nature, it is fire only. Only to show that that analogy is used, not to say that this spark is a part of the flame and all that. That is not the idea of the Upanishad, but they try to interpret it like that. And Bhashyakara has written a big Bhashya there. You can go and see. In fact, even we may have had many classes on that Bhashya actually. So he says, already I have dealt with that in in a detailed manner. He says, Vistarena avochama, that if you take that Atma has parts and all that, then so many things will become a problem. Many of the Upanishadic Vakyas you cannot actually explain properly. So it will become Sarva Shastra Artha Jatam Kupyeta, means basically you will go against all the Shastra, all the Upanishads. And he says, see, Mahatahi Prayatnena Kamadi Ashrayatva Kalpanaha Pratishedhavyaha Atmanaha Parena Ekatva Shastrartha Siddhaye. So to establish that this individual self is identical to the Paramatma, correct? Parena here means Atmanaha Parena means to this oneself and the Paramatma only. They both are identical, Ekatvam, oneness of these two. To achieve that, okay, we have to take a lot of effort. Mahatahi Prayatnena, he says. And also we have to, in that process, we have to show that Kama, etc. really does not belong to the Atma. Okay. All that is basically only mind. And the Atma, Anatma Viveka we have to do. That is the first thing. And we are showing in that process, we are showing that all these things are really Anatma Dharma. Correct? They don't really belong to the Atma. Like that, we take a lot of effort and negate that. And after that, you cannot say that all these things are really the qualities of Atma. Okay. So he says that kalpanayam punaha kriyamanayam shastrartheva baditaha syat. So if you do that, basically the entire shastrartha, whatever is being revealed by the shastra, then all that will be negated. Further, what yatha ichchadinam atma dharmatvam kalpayantaha vaisheshikaha nayyayikascha upanishad shastrarthena na sangachante. So he explains, like even the Vaisheshikas and Nayayikas who say, like I told you, correct? They say that Atma has many dharmas. In fact, Ichadinam, Adi Padat, there are other things, Sankalpa, etc. they add. So the desire, resolve, etc. In fact, all the what we say or the Upanishad says as the qualities of mind. Actually, the Vaisheshika and Nayayika, they take it as the qualities of Atma itself. They imagine like that, means they go and they do not go along with whatever is revealed in the Upanishad. Okay, Upanishad Shastrarthena na sangachante. They do not go along with the Upanishad. Therefore, what? Tatha. Similarly, what? Iyamapi kalpana Upanishad Shastrartha badhanat na adariniya. And similarly, even whatever is said here, like this Atma itself is the Kamashraya, we cannot go along with that because it negates the whatever is being revealed by the Upanishad and therefore it cannot be accepted. It should not be accepted. Na adaraniya. So like this is over. And now we are going into a very, one of my favorite parts of this Upanishad. Okay. So the introduction Bhashyakara gives now to the 23rd. Stri pumsayoho iva ekatvat na pashyati iti uktam swayam jyotihi iti cha. Okay. So already what has been discussed, that Atma is Swayam Jyoti. That was discussed by showing Swapna and all that. And then, but in deep sleep, even though you are Swayam Jyotihi, you do not know anything, correct? That is because there is oneness. Like even the analogy of the embracing of your loved wife, etc. We saw that when you are embracing, you don't know anything. Like that, this individual embraces the Atma in the sleep, and therefore there is ekatvam, there is no second thing, therefore you don't know anything. And here, Swayam Jyotishtam means what? What is the meaning of self-luminosity. Okay, Swayam Jyotishtam means we can call it self-luminosity. So Swayam Jyotishtam Nama Chaitanya Atma Swabhavata means Swayam Jyotishtam means the self is of the nature of consciousness. That is the meaning of self-luminosity. The self is of the nature of awareness or consciousness. It is its very nature. Understand that. And so that's what he says now. Yadihi Agni Ushnatvadivate Chaitanya Atma Swabhavaha Atma Saha Katham Ekatvepi Hi Swabhavam Jahya Na Janiyatiti. So if you say that Swayam Jyotishtam or self-luminosity is nothing but self being of the nature of consciousness, then nature means like it is like the fire being hot, correct? So Agni Ushnatva if Atma is also Chaitanya Swabhava, if you say, then how can it not know or how does it give up? Why does it give up its very nature in sleep? Okay, when you say that there is Ekatvam and all that in sleep, but even when there is Ekatvam, why does it give up its nature and say, I do not know? How can consciousness say, I do not know? Okay, na janiya, or it does not know anything, correct? Consciousness does not know anything in sleep, and still you are saying that it is of the nature of consciousness. Okay, now you say, okay, if you say, no, it does not give up its nature, self is always conscious of the nature of consciousness, then katam iha sushuptena pashyati. How does it not then see anything in sleep? So this is a contradiction. You say that it is self-luminous, it is of the nature of consciousness, but it does not know anything in sleep. Even though you may say ekatvam and all that, but it is a contradiction. Vipratishayadham etate. What is that? Chaitanyatma swabhavaha. Self being of the nature of consciousness and na janati chaiti and saying that I do not know or it does not know anything. So this is the Purva Paksha. Now we have to answer this question, correct? So now that is what is being done by the next verse. So Bhashyakara has given this introduction like this and he says now, na vipratishiddham. No, there is no contradiction here. Why? Ubhayam api etat upapadyate eva. These two things are fine. They can be there together. That self being of the nature of consciousness and not seeing anything is not really a contradiction. Both of them are possible. How? Means now that is what is said here. Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyanvai tanna pashyati. So, even whatever it does not see, correct? We said in the previous, we talked about this sata samparishvaktaha and all that. And in the sleep, you embrace oneself and there is only ekatvam, oneness, and therefore nothing is seen. But even when nothing is seen, it is still seeing. While seeing only, it does not see anything. We have to say that, correct? Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyanvai tanna pashyati. While seeing only, it does not see anything. What? This looks like a contradiction. But that is how it is. Why it is like that? Because nahi drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopaha vidyate means the sight of this seer, which is the Atma here, which is the witness, Sakshi, correct? The sight means here the consciousness only. The nature of being consciousness, that is what is referred to as sight here, because it is the sight of the sight also, correct? Because this is the sight which knows whether your eyes are seeing or not, your ears are hearing or not, your tongue is tasting or not. Okay. So it is the seer of sight, hearer of hearing, like that you can extend it. So that consciousness, for that there is no distraction or it never comes to stop. Viparilopaha means vinashaha. There is no distraction or nasha for that or it never stops. So the sight of the seer never ceases, I used to say. So ceases here is C-E-A-S-E. Okay. It never stops. So viparilopaha na vidyate. Why? Avinashitva. Because it is avinashi. Atma itself is avinashi. It can never be destroyed. Why? Because it never becomes an object of anything, correct? To destroy something, you should be able to objectify it. But Atma is aprameyaha. This comes in the Gita also, correct? So this Atma is aprameya. And that is why Bhagavan even graphically then says. So in the Gita he says what? Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dati pavakaha, nachainam kledayanti nashoshayati marutaha, all this. Okay, the shastra cannot kill it or whatever, cut it, and fire cannot burn it, water cannot drown it, wind cannot dry it, whatever. All these things or blow it away. You can take whichever way you want. So Atma is aprameya. It is not an object of anything. Therefore, it can never be destroyed. It's not even subjected to space-time. Then where is the question of any destruction? So it is avinashi. And therefore, its swarupa also has to then be all the time, correct? It cannot lose its swarupa, which is of the very nature of consciousness. Therefore, drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopaha na vidyate. So this is very clear. And in fact, it goes on to explain further. Natu tad dvitiyam asti. But still, why do you say I don't know means? Because there is no second thing in deep sleep. Tataha anyad vibhaktam yat pashyet. Okay, so there is no second thing. Therefore, there is anything separate to be seen. Okay, the subject-object division itself is not there. Therefore, there is no second thing or there is no division separately so that one can see the other. It is not like that. So that is what is said here. Now let us see the Bhashya. Bhashya also is very interesting here. Yadvai sushupte tat na pashyati. So in deep sleep, Atma does not see anything. But still what? Pashyan vai tat tatra pashyan neva na pashyati. So even it still is conscious only. It is aware. It is of the nature of awareness. It is still of the nature of consciousness. Therefore, seeing only it does not really see. Okay. Pashyanneva na pashyati. Yat tatra sushupte na pashyati iti janishe. Tat na tatha grinhiyaha. Okay. So you should not take it that Atma does not see anything in the sleep. Means you should not take it like normally how the eyes and minds are all not seeing. Correct? It's not like that. It should not be taken in that manner normally. Like tatna tata grinhiya. You should not understand it like that normally how people understand. Why? Kasmat. Okay. For what reason means? Because Pashyan vai bhavati tatra. Even though it is of the nature of consciousness and it is seeing, still it does not see anything. Okay. That's what the Upanishad is saying. Now the Purvapakshi comes. He says, Nanu evam na pashyati iti shushupte jani maha yataha na chakshur va mano va darshane karanam vyapritam asti. He says, in this manner, we understand that we don't see anything in the deep sleep. What is that? That the eyes or the mind, etc., which are the instruments for seeing, they are not working. Everybody understands that in deep sleep, the eyes and mind are not working. They are not engaged in their activities, correct? They are not operational. Vyapritam means vyaparaha and all comes from the same thing, correct? So vyapriteshu hi darshana shravanadishu pashyati iti vyavaharaha bhavati shinnoti iti va. So only when the mind and the sense organs are functional, are operating and working, then this seeing, hearing, etc., and also saying that I see, I hear, etc., all these vyavahara, all these activities are possible, they happen. Nacha vyapritani karanani pashyamaha, but we don't see these instruments are active. Okay, they are not active in sleep. Therefore, what tasmat na pashyati eva ayam, therefore it does not see. Okay, then what? Nahi kim tarhi pashyanneva bhavati. So he says, that means the Purva Pakshi is only saying that Atma itself can see only if the instruments are working. Otherwise, it does not have any sentiency or awareness. This is the kind of thing even the Nayayikas say. Understand that for them, consciousness itself becomes an attribute. Jnana and all becomes an attribute for them. And jnana is there only when that jnana kriya is happening. Otherwise, it need not be there. But we don't look at it like that. Okay, so they are only saying When the karana is active and jnana kriya is happening, then of course it will see. But if nothing is there, then it's not going to see it. But still, how can you maintain that it is consciousness swarupa and all that? It is of the nature of consciousness. That is what he is asking. Therefore, he says it doesn't see really. How can you say that it sees? So, tasmat na pashyati eva ayam, he says. This Atma does not see in deep sleep. Then Bhashyakara says, no, that's not like that. Nahi kim tarhi pashyanneva bhavati. It is still seeing only. How katham na hi yasmat drashtuhu. Because he here is yasmat, okay? Means because. This he is of the meaning of because. It's not a, sometimes he is used as a, for like a particle also. But here, like indeed and all in that meaning. But here it is because what? Drashtuhu drishtehe viparilopaha na vidyate. So that's what he is now explaining. He yasmat drashtuhu drishti kartuhu. So the one who sees drishti kartuhu, ya drishtihi, the sight of the seer, tasyaha drishtehe viparilopaha vinashaha saha na vidyate. So the Upanishad says this, the sight of the seer, for that there is no destruction. It never goes away. Okay. Like even what yatha agnehe aushnyam yavad agni bhavi tata ayam cha atma drashta avinashi. So like even the heat of the agni, and till the time it is agni, it will have the heat, correct? Yavad agni bhavi, the aushnyam will be there. Like that, this atma also is always a drashta, and also it is avinashi. Okay, it can never be destroyed. Therefore, what? Ataha avinashitvat atmanaha drishtihi api avinashi. Since Atma itself, at least Agni can be put down, put off, correct? But Atma cannot be destroyed at all. Therefore, the nature of being consciousness also never goes from the Atma. It also has to be there always. It also is avinashi really. So, ataha avinashitvat atmanaha drishtihi api avinashi. Yavad drashtrbhavini sa. So till the time it has the drashtrbhava, it is always, in fact, not going to be destroyed. So it will always be like that only. Okay. So once Bhashyakara explains like this, right now he is simply using whatever is said in the Upanishad Vakya, correct? He is just connecting everything. And now he says, the Purva Pakshi comes and says, what? Nanu vipratishiddham idam abhidhiyate. So whatever you have said here, I understand it as contradiction. It is all contradictory. Why? So he gives his thing. He says, drashtuhu sa drishtihi na viparilupyate iti cha. So whatever you are saying that the drishti of the sight of the seer does not get destroyed, that also you are saying, how is that possible? Why? Because he says, according to him, drishtischa drashta kriyate. So the drishti or the sight is produced by the seer, and it is an action for him. Okay. So drishti kartritvat he drashta iti uchyate. So the he is called a seer because he is doing the action of seeing. Correct. Kriyamana cha drashta drishtihi. So that means the sight itself is something done, or it is an action, means it is created. It can be, it starts and it can end. Correct. Any action will start, an action is produced, then it is there and then it ends. Therefore, it is kriyamanaha. It is produced. It is created. So this action of seeing is created. Kriyamana cha drashta drishtihi. The sight itself is something which is created by the seer. And na viparilupyate iti cha ashakyam vaktum. So you cannot say that it cannot stop. Any action has to stop at some point in time. Okay. So nanu na viparilupyate iti vachanat avinashi syat. Okay. Na vachanasya jnapakatvat. Okay. He also says, you cannot say that since the Upanishad is saying na viparilopaha like that, you cannot take it as it will not stop. Okay. Or you cannot say that it is avinashi, that the sight of the seer is can never be destroyed, etc. You cannot say. Why? Because then he says you have to reinterpret the Shruti differently now. Okay. Because he says, na vachanasya jnapakatva. So, the words of the Shruti also can only reveal something. It cannot create anything newly or anything like that. It cannot create a new reality. It has to reveal the facts as they are. They are only jnapaka. They are not karaka, correct? They cannot create anything. They cannot make the drashta and his drishti be there forever, correct? So, vachanasya jnapakatvat nahi jnaya praptaha vinashaha kritakasya vachana shatenapi varayitum shakyate. Why? Because by logic we know that anything which is created, correct? Yet kritakam tan nashyam and all, we have vyapti and we have a hetu, correct? Like that. So whatever is created has to be destroyed. And here the sight itself is an action. It is a seeing action, and that is why the seer is called a seer. And since it is an action, when that action stops, then the sight also has to stop. So hundreds of Shrutis cannot come and negate this simple fact. Shruti can only reveal facts. It cannot go against established facts. In fact, this we also accept. Shankaracharya himself says that in the Gita Bhashya, correct? Like 100 Shrutis cannot come and say that Agni is Shita, etc. Agni is cold, fire is cold and all. Shruti cannot say. Even if it says that, then we have to interpret it differently. So the Purva Pakshi is now saying the same thing. Okay? Because he says, Kritakasya vachana shatenapi vinashaha vareyitum na shakyate. So whatever is created, even 100 Shrutis may say differently, but it will be destroyed. So, and further he says, Vachanasya yata praptarthanyapakatvat. So, the Vachana, the Shruti Vachana, the words of the Veda has to reveal whatever is there as it is. It cannot create some new reality or anything. Like this, the Purva Pakshi is arguing. So now Bhashyakara calmly says, Naisha dosha. There is no dosha or defect here. Understand here. See what he gives a beautiful example. He says, Adityadi prakashakatvavate darshana upavate. See, the sunlight is always there. And that sunlight, which is always there, you put a pot in the sunlight, we say that the pot is lighted up by the sun, correct? Really speaking, sunlight is always there. And when it falls on the pot, that action is only, there is no action on the part of the sun newly or anything, correct? A new action did not start. Understand that. Sun is always bright. But whenever the pot is lighted up by the sunlight, we do have usage like sun has lighted up the pot. That doesn't mean that lighting up activity has newly started or anything. Sun is always bright, correct? That is what Bhashyakara is pointing out here. Adityadayaha. Okay. Nitya prakasha swabhavaha eva santaha स्वाभाविकेन नित्येनैव प्रकाशेन प्रकाशयन्ति. So Adityadayaha, all these stars, okay, Adipadat, there are so many stars are there. They are always bright. They are always shining. Being always shining only by their nature, they still light up things. Okay, whenever some part or something else is lighted up by their light, we say that it is lighted up by the sun or the stars or whatever it is. But that doesn't mean it has newly started a lighting up activity. Okay. So in fact, he explains that nahi aprakashatmanaha santaha prakasham kurvantaha prakashayanti iti uchyante. So we don't say, by saying lighted up, it doesn't mean that they were originally not of the nature of light, and then they lighted up something by producing light. It's not like that. They were always bright only. Correct? So kim tarhi swabhavenaiva nityena prakashena. But by their own swabhava, they are always bright. And being always bright only, are always of shining. They lighted up a particular thing. Tatha ayamapi atma avilupta swabhavaya drishtya nityaya drashta iti uchyate. So similarly, this atma also, which has this avilupta, means basically unceasing. Its nature is can never be destroyed, correct? Its very nature, which is of the nature of consciousness, and that conscious nature never goes away. It is unceasing, and with that sight only, unceasing sight, it is always a drashta only. It is always a seer. Whether anything is there to be seen or not, it is always of the nature of consciousness. It is always self-luminous. Once we say this, he says, Gaunam tarhi drashtritvam. Then this drashtritvam and all is only figurative, he says. Okay. Even that we don't accept. Why? See, this figurative, secondary, primary, etc. are possible only if there are two things are there, two ways of operations, etc. Here, it is not like that. Understand that. The Atma is a seer in the primary sense only always, in this manner only, because there is no other way the Atma is a seer. Is that clear? So you cannot say it is figurative, etc. It is not Gauna. Because a Guna also can come and go. This is not Gaunam. It is primary. In the primary sense only, you have to say Atma is a Drashta and it is Avinashi. And its Drashtritvam is Viparilopa, Aviluptaha and all we have to say, correct? It doesn't have any Viparilopa. So he says, Na Evam Eva Mukhyatva Upapatthe. So in this manner only, whatever I have explained, you have to take the Atma as the primary meaning itself is that it is a Drashta in this manner only. So, यदि हि अन्यथापि आत्मनः द्रष्टृत्वं दृष्टं तदा अस्य द्रष्टृत्वस्य गौणत्वं. So, only if you have some other way of Atma seeing, etc., is there, let us say, then you can say that one is primary, another is figurative or secondary or gauna and all that. But here, there is only one way in which the Atma is a drashta here, correct? So, he says, Natu Atmanaha Anyaha Darshana Prakaraha Asti. So, Atma does not see in any other way. Like even the sun does not light up in any other way, correct? Sun also lights up. It is always of the nature of luminosity, and therefore it lights up whatever is there. Like that, Atma also is same, and it is lighting up in only one way. Therefore, he says here, Tat evam eva mukhyam drashtritvam upadyate. Therefore, in this manner only, this drashtritvam also we have to take it as mukhya only. It is primary or it is the main. It is the main meaning. Okay. Na anyatha, you cannot take it in any other manner. And again, he goes back to the Adityadi. So he says, Yatha Adityadinam prakashayitritvam nityenaiva swabhavikena akriyamanena prakashena. So even for the Aditya also, its ability to light up, etc., it is always there, correct? At least within the creation, we have to say it is always there. And it's of its very nature also. It is not really that sometimes it is not bright, sometimes it is bright, etc. It is always bright. That's its very nature. And it's not doing anything. Understand that. To light up a part or an object, it need not do anything. It is there as it is. In the process, it is lighting it up. Okay. Akriyamanena prakashena. So the prakasha of the sun is not newly created or produced. It is always there. And that is the prakashayitritvam mukhyam of the Aditya. So tadeva cha prakashayitritvam mukhyam. So the ability to light of the sun, that is how it is in the primary sense. Okay. And prakashayitritva antara anupapattehe, because sun also does not light up in any other way. This is the only way it is lighting up things. Therefore, what? Tasmat drashtuhu drishtihi viparilupyate iti na vipratisheda Gandaha api asti. Therefore, what is this? That the sight of the seer never vanishes, it never goes away. This statement has not even a whiff of contradiction, he says. Not even a small whiff of contradiction is there. Vipratisheda Gandaha api nasti. Therefore, Nanu. Okay, now the Purva Pakshi comes again. He says, Nanu Anitya Kriya Kartri Vishaya Eva Trich pratyayantasya shabdasya prayogaha drishtaha. No, there is a grammatical point. See, this trich is the pratyaya here, correct? Even kartru, bhoktru, all these things are all trich pratyaya. It comes in the sense of the agent, the doer. And this trich pratyaya sabda prayoga, it is used only in the anitya kriya, he says, in the meaning of whatever transient activities. Okay, the agent of a transient activity only gets the trich pratyaya, at least according to them. And he gives example what yata chetta bhetta ganta iti. So like the cutter, the whatever you the ganta means the one who goes. So in all these any activity you can take for that matter, correct? There are so many activities with which you can the trich can be used. Okay, so the cutter bhetta means you can say he is a breaker or whatever divides. So like this ganta means goer, or even the one who understands also you can take ganta. So in this manner, tatha drashta ityatrapi iti. So similarly, the drashta also should be like that. It should be only anitya kriya, he says. If you say like that, no, because prakasha ita iti drishtatva. See, right now I explained to you with the analogy of sun, correct? And sun is a prakasha ita. The trich pratyaya is used for the sun, and we say that it is the one which lights up. So the prakasha itra, that word with reference to the sun, does not come in the meaning of an anitya kriya, because the prakasha of the sun is its very swabhava and it does not start at any point in time. Okay. Then he agrees. Bhavatu prakashakeshu anyatha asambhavati, says still. No, it can be applied only to prakasha, not to drishti, etc. So he says in other places it is not possible. And for particularly he says, Natu Atmani iti, not with reference to the self and consciousness, etc. He says, Iti chet what na. Okay, no, not like that. Because the Shruti itself says, Drishti aviparilopa Shrute. The Shruti is very clear. Viparilopaha na vidyate avinashi, etc. Therefore, what pashyami na pashyami iti anubhava darshanat na iti chet. Okay, with reference to the self also, we say that I see, but I don't see. Both we say. This experience being there, how can you say that the Atma is always seeing, etc.? Means we give the same answer which you gave in the beginning, correct? Na, why? Karana vyapara vishesha apekshatvat. The sight you are talking about is dependent on karana vyapara. It depends on the activity of the instruments. Okay? And if the instruments are not available, then the sight through the eyes will not take place. But the Atma is the one which knows whether the eyes are seeing or not, correct? That never stops. That's what we have to understand. So, Udhrita Chakshusham cha swapne Atma Drishte aviperilopa darshana. Also, he gives a very interesting point here. He says, even these eyes are not operating. Even then, how can you say the Atma is seeing? For that, he is giving one example here beautifully. He says, even for those for whom, see, in those days, they had punishments like they gouge out the eyes and all that. Okay, for some of the crimes, for some serious crimes, you can have punishment like your eyes will be removed. But even such people, blind people, have dreams. In their dreams, they see. Then what is seeing there really? So Bhashyakara says, Udhrita Chakshusham means the for whom the eyes have been taken out. Okay. But even them what? Swapne, in the Swapna they are seeing. That means that sight which they are having in the Swapna is Atma's sight only, correct? So Atma Drishte aviparilopa darshana. So even for the one who does not have eyes, the sight which he is experiencing in the dream is only due to the Atma Drishti. Therefore, Atma Drishti never goes away. Even if the physical eyes are gone, the Atma Drishti will always be there. Therefore, what tasmat aviparilupta swabhava. eva atmanaha drishtihi. So the Atma's drishti is aviparilupa lupta swabhava. It is of the nature of being always there. Correct? It never stops. It is unceasing. That is how it is. It is always there. It is not transient. Ataha taya avipariluptaya drishtya swayam jyoti swabhavaya pashyanyeva bhavati shushupte. Therefore, what? With this ability, this consciousness only, which is its very nature, correct? This very nature of being self-luminous and self-existent, that reality also, it is there. Seeing only, it is still there even in Sushupti, but there is nothing to see there. Okay, because there is Ekatvam is there. There is no second thing to be seen. Therefore, it is like that. Of course, this part, Bhashya, he will write now. Natu tad dvitiyam asti tataha anyad vibhaktam yat pashyet. All this we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.